Hello, wild women. Happy summer solstice to you. So, this is the fourth in a four-part series that I have been laying at your feet, video by video, over the autumn equinox, the winter solstice, the spring equinox, and now here we are at the summer solstice. And we're exploring really the relationship between the wild woman archetype and the wild woman within us all, and these big markers in the cycle of the year. And summer solstice is kin to full moon time. So we're constantly thinking, right, at the Wild Woman Project about the lunar cycle, about the new moon, honoring the new moon as a time of introspection, as a time to come together in circle and retreat, to make our intentions for the cycle ahead. And then halfway through the moon cycle, we have the full moon, which, I don't have to tell you, is often majestic. It lights up the sky. It keeps us awake because of the light. And it tends to be a time where we feel like celebration. We feel that sense of uplift. I mean, there's this great big light in the night sky. How amazing. So, and then after that, it wanes, it goes back toward that new moon space, and it just goes around and around like that all the time. The same thing happens. There's a mirror in the cycle of the earth and its orbit around the sun. So we have, on this day, the summer solstice, we have our peak light day. We have our full moon day. And this year, the year 2024, it happens to be right next to the full moon. Like, I think it's Thursday, we have a solstice. Friday, we have a full moon. So it's just big. And it's big. It feels big because of all that light. So I want to start this conversation about the summer solstice by recounting something I heard just yesterday in Circle in Wild Woman Underground, which, if you don't know about it, is our community at the Wild Woman Project where we gather every single week in Circle and workshops and things. So we had, of course, as we do, we had a summer solstice circle celebration, which was facilitated by the lovely, talented, magical Amy Whitmire, who many of you will know from Circle Leader training. She is one of our Circle Leader mentors and has been for many, many years. She's also been at Fest as a facilitator. So she laid something down that I had not really thought about before. So she said, at winter solstice, all of the celebration is about the light, the return of the light, because every moment between the winter solstice and the summer solstice, there are longer and longer and longer days, right? And it's this depth of winter, and here we are around a fire, around a flame, this reverence of the return of the light. And she made the good point that we have the tendency, even at summer solstice, where here we are again, often talking about the light, the light, the light. And isn't that interesting? And I thought that is super interesting because, we are in our culture obsessed with the light. And I mean, I'm sure you love light. I love light. Light's amazing, And in our day-to-day life on earth, there is for every day a night. There is for every shortest day of the year or longest night, there is the long day, the short night. There is always this opposite, this balance, this beautiful dynamism between light and dark. And for a number of reasons I will not get into that are, rooted in theology and the dominant theologies of our time, there's been an almost obsession with light and a denial of the dark. And one of the absolute markers of the wild woman archetype, the way the way I think one knows if the wild woman archetype is one to look toward or be guided by, is if you're not afraid of the dark. It's futile to be afraid of the inevitable. After the day will come dusk, will bring a night. That will happen. Just like in our lifespans, the only promise is that one day we will die. And that sort of existential reality stirs up so much in us. And I think one of the great gifts of walking with the wild woman archetype, tuning into her, is that she says to the dark, or to the coming of the darkness, she says, come on, don't be afraid, come on. And even if you are afraid, she says, well, that's to be expected, but come on. What is here? What lives and thrives in the moonlit hours? What does it feel like to be under a great big shady tree or in a cave? What does that evoke? What are the kinds of activities that happen in the nighttime? Often nighttime activities are restful. They are social. They are not the working hours, they are the connecting hours. They are the dreaming hours. They are the kind of descent. And there's something really beautiful about that. So because of Amy making this great point about light, I started to think of the summer solstice in a totally different kind of a way, which is the return of the darkness, the return of the mystery. Slowly, we go very slowly from this height in June to that depth in winter. And I wonder what it would feel like to really say yes to that and to be happy with that. Or I should say, be at peace with that, So I think for many of us wild women, full moon time and summer solstice, because I think just like the simple fact of there being more day or more brightness, more hours in which to feel and experience life, it can be very intense. The reason is because most of us wild women feel at a 25/7, like we, if the scale is 10, we are breaking it. We feel everything intensely. And one of the things that I think is so powerful about us coming together, and one of the reasons I just freaking love coming together in circle, coming together at fest, coming together for circle leadership. Just when wild women come together, we remind ourselves that we're not alone. Not everyone feels on that scale, but we do. And it is both. It is the seat and the heart of our greatest gifts. And it's also tricky to navigate. So when we come together, we go like I'm in it today. I'm in the depths. I'm in the ache. And what we know as we mature as wild women is that that is part of it. That's the dynamism. And the dark is not always sad. The dark is not always scary. If you build a more friendly relationship, a more curious relationship versus this sort of avoidant, light obsessed thing that is really prominent in our culture. So I invite you this summer solstice as wild women to enjoy that this moment of peak light, to enjoy it, to feel it as intense, to allow yourself to burn with whatever's burning in you, and to welcome the darkness, the mystery, the descent, and to enjoy every single moment of that, and to be curious as each day the sunlight hours get a little shorter and the moonlight hours get a little longer, to really like be curious about how that shifts and how that changes how you feel. To me, the summertime is and has always felt, even before I had this whole epiphany, um, the mystic season, the season where magic is high. It's part of the reason I love to gather for Wild Woman Fest every summer. And you'll notice it is not scheduled during the beginning of the summer. It's during the end of summer where it's a little less intense, because it's a lot to feel it all and to anyway. So I think of Wild Woman Fest and I think of what that calls out. And to me, this summer, this move from peak light back into the darkness is like walking into the mystic. It really highlights the more mystical aspects of the wild woman archetype. The one who dreams, the one who sees, the one who knows beyond um, just what we can knock on and measure, who senses the spiritual or ephemeral dimension of our physical reality. So let us remember that this season, this summer season, can be about walking into the mystic and eventually on the far side of it, welcoming what is inevitable, the autumn. And it just keeps going. And I think the wild woman archetype at her best, like when we're in tune and in touch and learning from and with this force, it puts us like on a bodily level directly in touch with the movements of nature. And nature is always moving and cycling. Think about how fast the earth is going around the sun, Think about all the phases of days and year and night and lifespan. Everything's moving. So the more we can embrace and flow with, there's an enlightenment there. There's a letting go of saying to nature, that's right, I'm yours, take me. So I want to offer you a little mystic magic practice, very simple for the summertime, starting on solstice. So the invitation is this, and as with all invitations, change what you will, add, subtract, do what you will. But the idea is basically this, that you make a practice, a ritual out of going outside or near to a window or on a balcony or rooftop if you're in a city, to go outside for 5 minutes at dusk. Dusk is the magic hour between day and night. So to start with, just feeling your body. So that can be standing, that can be sitting, or that can be walking. But feel your body and breathe. Feel how your body has a way it responds to dusk. Allow it. Okay. And then as you breathe, remember there are 4 major parts to the breath. Just like there are 4 major parts to the moon cycle and the cycle of Earth around sun, right? There's these 4 major parts. So the inhalation is the waxing, is the spring. The full, that moment where you have as much breath as you have, is the fullness, the summer. Then on the exhale, there is the waning back into autumn until there's that moment of emptiness. That's like new moon, like winter, and it all goes around like that. That's built into this essential function of our life, is this essential mirror. Okay. So when you get, because it's summer practice, right? When you get to that top, that moment, that's your summer solstice moment when you're at full exhale. And be in touch with the letting go, the release, the flow of breath as you begin to exhale. So that beginning of the exhale is like the time between solstice and equinox. Okay? Feel that and see if you can let go, surrender. So let's review. You've just gone outside. You've felt your body either by standing, sitting, walking. Then you intentionally begin to breathe. And once your breath is going and you feel your body, your bones, your flesh, you start paying really good attention to that cycle of the breath. In that moment, like right at the top of the exhale, when you're about to release, feel it, let it go, let it soften you. And do that for a few rounds. See what you find and see what you feel. And in your own way, say thank you to the daytime. And in your own way, welcome the night. And then that's it. You go back inside. It is super simple. If you are walking anywhere or standing anywhere, no one would even know you were doing anything. This is all like inside on the mystical level. It's just in the internal level. It's the level of thought and breath and body. So play with that. Start today on the solstice if you wish, and then continue to play with it. And if you really make a pattern of this, if you really make a ritual of this, you'll start to feel that there are so many dimensions of feeling in those gradients of the exhale. Let it teach you something. It's already happening in your body. This already happens in nature. What is it teaching you? Be curious. Thank you so much for listening today. And happy solstice to you. I hope that you make something of it, something of it. And I'm glad that we had this time together. And I want to say a couple of things before I let you go. First of all, I'm so stoked to see so many of you at Wild Woman Fest in August. Second, Wild Woman Underground, which is 100% online. It's our community where we meet every single week, like I told you before. We also have an app where we communicate between sessions and where all of the recorded sessions, which are now, I think, at like 70 2-ish or something like that past session. So it's just like this library that keeps expanding circles and workshops for our wild women. You are invited. And the doors will close on Monday, July 1st. So this is the moment. They won't open back up again for many months. This is the moment to step into the container and come experience the magic of being an ongoing circle community. Our whole leadership team is there if you've taken circle leader training, and is often facilitating, myself included, of course. And second, circle leader training is coming in the fall. So if you want to learn how to facilitate a women's circle skillfully and with some joy and play, if this idea of the wild woman archetype stirs you, I recommend you joining us for that. So I'll put links to everything I'm saying below this video, but sign up because we are making another batch of improvements to this program that I am so stoked about. That'll be in place by the time fall training comes around. So get on the priority list for that if that is interesting to you. And yeah, I'd love to have you with us in the fall. So, my dears, have an amazing summer solstice. Whatever you're feeling at whatever level of intensity is perfect. Just decide it's perfect. And if you can, uh, notice what is magical about this time.